Hey everybody, what's up? Gary Simon here. So today we're going to be checking out and I'm going to be showing you how to apply something that's referred to as asymmetrical or the broken layout trend. Now first, I have to preface this by saying if you're a beginner designer, I wouldn't really try to do this. You need to first know how to crawl before you can walk and walk before you can run. Or in other words, you need to understand solid UI design fundamentals. You need to know how to apply white space, color and contrast, visual hierarchy, typography, all that stuff first before you kind of get into this sort of trend. So if you're in that boat, you're new, definitely check out my new Scrimba course on UI design. There's also a free 1-hour portion of it for UI design fundamentals. Shameless plug, I know, but it just released and it's gonna really help you. So if you already are pretty solid with your UI design fundamentals, then definitely watch this video. And the type of design I'm talking about, I'm first gonna show you some examples here. These are the type of designs. This is the kind of the trend. You can see that a lot of elements are overlapping each other. And no, it's kind of breaking away from the traditional mindset where things have to be contained in their own grids and their own, I guess you could say, rows and columns like that. But the overall feeling of it is definitely modern. It's luxurious. It's definitely more artsy. And it's really fun once you can kind of get the hang of it. All right, so that's what I'm gonna try to do. We're gonna take one design. Let me switch back to my desktop here. We're gonna take this simple design and we're going to kind of push it into that new trend in terms of being in this broken layout slash modern trendy slash asymmetrical layout. All right, so as always, make sure to subscribe and let's get started. Before we begin, there's never been a better time to try Linode. From now until May 31st of 2020, Linode is giving every single account access to object storage for free. That's right. Whether you create an account all the way back in 2003 or even just today, you can take advantage of free object storage until April 30th of 2020. What is object storage, you might ask? Well, object storage is an easy way to store and access data without the need for running a server. It's perfect for data that doesn't regularly change, like images and other multimedia files, important backups, or giant archives for servers that might need more storage space. One of the best use cases for object storage is hosting your own static website. You can have a site up and highly available on Linode's object storage with as little as an HTML and CSS file. To give object storage a try for free and get an additional $20 on your new Linode account, sign up at linode.com/DesignCourse. All right, so the first thing we have here is just a very simple layout, as you can see. All right, so we have two columns. Of course, we have a simple header up here. The reason I separated it with a white nav bar behind it is because if we get rid of it, you'll see there's just not enough contrast between these elements, the actual links right here. So that's a quick fix for that. Again, just two columns. Remember here, we have a good amount of white space around this column. It's very structured. And then we have this image over here that's pertinent or relevant to the base, the basis of this cosmetic, sort of fictional company. Now, what if we wanted to extend beyond this and do something a little bit more unique, which is the whole purpose of this video? What I'm going to do is go ahead and just replicate this artboard. And let's move this over a little bit more so we only see it. And when I'm approaching this type of design, what I like to do is just kind of focus on the larger blocks first and then get into the actual details. And I like to experiment randomly. So what if we took this right here and we moved it over? All right. And what if also maybe we'll just bring it in a bit. And let's change this section up too. Let's change this right here. I want to make this headline kind of just go over here, extend to that area. And also in Adobe XD, if you have an actual image based, like a photograph that's placed inside of a container like this, we could double click into it and then readjust it more specifically. So let's maybe move this over here because when it comes to positioning your elements for your photograph, and you're having overlapping elements, like you're breaking the layout, you want to make sure that there's good contrast behind the elements that you're placing the text on. So let's just change this up real quickly. I'm going to change this to Cosmetic Superstar. All right, and we can get rid of this part. Let's get rid of that entirely, actually. All right, and let's just put this over here. Maybe we'll scale this down in terms of size right here. So we'll take the size. I don't know why it is screwing up right now. There we go. Increase it, you know, maybe to right around here. And one thing I kind of don't like about this background, by the way, notice it's almost the same color as here. So what I might do instead as well is take this and make it white, which then we could probably get rid of this or have it not extend all the way. All right, so now we've already created, you know, quite a difference just, you know, in a matter of a couple minutes, really. I'm going to duplicate this because we still need to get that other add copy. So this is going to be your A. And this time I think maybe we'll use a different font like Montserrat. So we're going to take, we'll make this regular. Come down in size. Increase the letter spacing. There we go. Maybe decrease the size a little bit more. There we go. So we're kind of like situating it right between the top of the C and the top of the T. And just gives it a nice little aesthetic. So of course you can really play around with your headlines and your type. There's a lot of it that's completely subjective. So there's a million subjective options that you could do as long as everything's looking, you know, and situating good. So we have this element here. This is completely fine. If we take a look at this, just pull this down a bit. We can see behind here, it's all light, so it doesn't get lost. I mean, if we did this, for instance, that wouldn't be good because there's not enough contrast, all right? So you want to make sure the contrast is set up very well here. So additionally, this is kind of just thrown over here. You don't want to break it to the point at which where it's mindless. There should be structure still. So let's move this right here. All right, I like that. And then also let's move this in. So it has a nice amount of white space from the top of the text itself and the bottom of this type, and then also from the end of this G in amazing to the right of this section right here. All right, so that's looking pretty good. We have our call to action down here, which was in a white container, which we don't see because we changed the background. Let's give this a background. Just the default gray would probably work. And we can also do this sort of thing where we're breaking outside of our containers. Like we could do this. I mean, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to do that. You could still read it. It's not a problem of making it legible. So maybe we can just come down a little bit lighter. And so that gives us an interesting little aesthetic. All right. I think I want to change this to Montserrat as well. So we're using two typefaces here, and that's completely fine. So now I might want to scale this down just a bit, get this all even up. And that's looking, yeah, pretty good right there, but I'm still not happy. I want something else to fill this out, okay? So we're going to introduce another element. And again, we can really just play around with shapes at this point. But again, ultimately, we want to refine it, and we want to make it look, there has to be some sort of structure in a sense. So I'm going to pull in an image here, and this is from unsplash.com. Oops, that's the wrong one. It is this one. There we go. Yeah, I screwed that up. Let's do this one last time. All right, so it's another, you know, relevant image, but you could see it really contrasts well with this photograph. You know, this is lighter, and this, of course, is darker. So there's a lot of areas where we could place this and it would work. We could go over here, for example. And then maybe, so this is kind of like an overlapping container on top of this one. And you want to think in terms of imaginary lines, grid lines. Like here's one, it's going out there. We have another one right here. So everything, there is a lot of alignment that's occurring, but it's just a lot of things are overlapping as well, but they're doing so, they're overlapping in a way that works well in terms of contrast. All right, because this contrasts well with this background. This image contrasts well with this image. Let's take this and duplicate it. And maybe we'll create an empty space. And we'll make this real light gray. And this is further just redefining this, or further defining this row right here. So now maybe we can take this, maybe center it up here. Make it a little bit bigger, Shift and Alt. And then now let's move this over here. All right, that looks pretty cool. And let's, I'm gonna add another element that I created before this in the reference project. What if we wanted to have like social links? Where would we put those? All right. It might be cool to put those maybe right here. Maybe not in this container. That would be pretty obvious. We could come out too to further define this sort of asymmetrical, broken sort of layout. It still works. This works. These icons work over this background because, as you can see, it's very light. So there's a high contrast there. And we can even do those vertical pagination spheres. Maybe center this up in this container. And look at that. So now we have, between these two, we have a couple of options that are really solid. This right here, very simple, of course. Can't go wrong with this. And this right here, which is much more modern. And a lot more artsy, but it still works. It should be still easy to use for the most part. Let's get another some more work under our belt, and I just wanted to show you how many different possibilities that we can come up with just by altering this layout. Let's duplicate this one. All right, and let's go ahead this time and instead of making this 100% width, let's pull this down a little bit, which means we can get rid of this container right here. And this time, let's get rid of your A. And let's just type in your A. All right. This time, I think we'll make all this type just regular. All right. Maybe we'll scale down everything. Okay, and then at this point, let's move this all the way over, maybe not all the way, but just a bit. And so what does this do now to these? These look bad now, just because it's cluttered on top of this, this background, so it just doesn't look that great. So what I'll do is get a container with a white background, and we'll put it behind those ellipses. And of course, you want to make sure your alignment is all looking good from top to bottom in terms of your white space and all of that good stuff. Maybe we'll take these, move them over, group them. We'll get in here and move these around. All right. Maybe we'll further experiment with the alignment of everything here. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's get this back. This time, let's get rid of this. Let's take this, push it up here just temporarily. We'll push these up. Let's have like a big block down here. So we're going to just take this and move it over. Maybe we'll position this right around here. Now this is our image. This is basically the full size of the actual photograph. But what if we wanted to extend this more and kind of create this broken layout effect all the way over here? Well, we could do this. That would make it quite large. But we could also do this. This is another trick. We take this and let's just grab a color from here, like that color. There we go. Now look how cool that looks. So now what we can do is we can place our buy now or browse beauty, not buy now, what am I talking about? Right click, let's align to front or arrange, bring to front. All right. Now, of course, this needs adjusted. So we will get rid of that, make this white, make the type white. So we have good contrast. There we go. Now that's looking good. Maybe we'll move this over to be an aligned, well, to maybe right around here. So it's aligning on this grid. All right. We could probably stand to take this and scale it up just a bit. And we could also do interesting things just in terms of graphics. Like, for instance, I duplicated this layer. And we could do something like grab a color from here, something nearby. We could grab the same color, the background, but just make it slightly lighter. And we can align it to where this starts right there. And then maybe we'll duplicate it and just put this right here. We'll take these two, duplicate them over. So it's just a small graphic, kind of like a watermark that really adds to the design. So a little goes quite far. And also, aligning it right here along this photograph will further help define this element right here. We got a dog outside that's barking. Hopefully you can't hear that. So very, very fun when you're able to experiment with these different elements. Again, you could do a lot of cool stuff here. For instance, we can, let's see, we'll take a rectangle. So right here we have a row that's defined by this type, right? So we can take a rectangle and maybe we'll drag it out right around here. We'll grab a nearby color, which further reinforces the color scheme. Let's get rid of these right there. And we'll right click and arrange send to back. And because this is a light color, it doesn't interfere with these elements right here. So now looking at alignment, we might want to push this. We can see we have a certain amount of white space here, but a very less amount of white space here. Maybe it'd be nice to kind of push that over a little bit. And there we go. Yet another example. So we have 3 different examples. This is very simple. Here's one approach on the asymmetrical broken layout design aesthetic, and here's another one. Let's put them next to each other. So as you can see, very, very, very fun. I think I'll do one more just so we can get more muscle memory. This time I'll go quite a bit different of an approach. We'll duplicate this. All right, and what we'll do here is, let's see. We'll take this, we'll just get rid of it. And let's get our background kind of like this color here. All right, then I'll take this, we're gonna delete these 2 things. We have this, we'll just delete that, we'll get that back later. Let's use let's use this one right here. We'll copy that. All right, and we'll go ahead and take this. Let's put this over here to the right. So this would be completely fine to do. Maybe scale this down just a tad bit. So now we have a column here and another column here, and then of course a column here and a column for this section. Again, there's a lot of ways we could take this. Let's adjust that. Maybe we'll increase this slightly so we can get to 3 lines of type. There we go. Maybe we'll increase that line height just a bit. Let's take a line here and just start from here all the way to the left. Again, a lot of this is just having fun, and I'm making a lot of subjective decisions here. Let's move this over, maybe down around here. We'll take this element, here, let's get rid of that. Position this maybe around here. And let's make a column. So we're creating that broken layout effect again. We're gonna arrange and send that to the back. All right. All right, so this is looking pretty unique so far. And so I kind of like that. Let me get the call to action because we need to get that back. So let's copy this. Now I don't like this white with the border here. I think we'll just go ahead and get rid of the fill. So we'll keep the border essentially. Now this border should be the same color as that border. So we can just grab this. All right, so that's looking pretty good. We can do like a sort of like a shadow here. So let's give this a shadow that's coming from this direction. So the light source would be coming from up here. So what we can do is increase this, or no, we'll go negative. We'll go negative here. We'll take the blur all the way down, and then maybe the opacity down even more. Something like that. All right. And it just kind of seems a little bit bland, right? There's a lot of white space. So here's a good trick that you can use for that purpose. Let's take this type. We're going to create a massive watermark in the background. So we will bring this all the way just to almost the bottom. And then what we'll do is increase the heck out of this. And now, of course, this looks really broken. But then if we take the opacity way down, it's not so broken anymore. So you could do something completely like this. And that really makes it look elegant in a sense. So let's get out of there. There we go. So let's take a look at our 3 different designs and how I was able to quickly come up with these just based on a very standard design. So a standard typical design right here, it's very safe, very friendly, nothing crazy happened about it. Then we went to this, which is definitely a lot different of an approach. And then to this, I think I personally might like this one the most. Actually, this should be probably centered up. A container was defined right here and here around this element. So this being centered makes more sense. And then to this as well, which this has less photography rather. But again, you know, it's another subjective take on it. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. You learned something new. If so, definitely leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.